Why won't you play Animal Well? Because Animal Well killed my grandma, okay? Animal Well is the first ever Wells-like game, and it was so good in fact that time travelers went back in time because they were so inspired, and it led them to making Zelda 2, Mario, and Fortnite. On the World Wide Web, I am probably the #1 qualified person to talk about Animal Well, as I've put 29.6 billion hours into the game. Believe it or not, it's actually true. You can Google it. Animal Well is one of the best takes on a puzzle game that I have seen in recent years. The whole way that has puzzles that are very, very clear and in your face, and you're like, oh, I see that. That wall needs to it needs to blow up, and I'm gonna break it or something. And then there's a chest with an egg, all the way to needing to pull out your Indiana Jones outfit and then go back in time, like in the Dial of Doom, back to the time where the Germans were fighting with basically everyone in order to find an ancient manuscript that actually ciphers to this hologram in the game. Some of the puzzles are absurd. But despite having some really absurd puzzles, a lot of the puzzles are actually very enjoyable to discover on your own. And this game is very clearly meant to be played completely blind. You're not supposed to go on The Gamer and look up, how do I beat Animal Well? No, that's stupid. You're supposed to be like, how do I do this puzzle? In fact, this was the first game in years that actually made me take out a piece of paper and a pencil and started to jot down notes. This game is clearly meant for everyone. When I was talking to my friend about it recently, actually, because we had a discussion talking about this game before I made the video, we both came to the conclusion that this game has a little bit of everything in it when it comes to people who like puzzle games. For me, I'm one of those people who beat the first ending because the game has multiple endings. I'll get to that. When I beat the first ending, I felt like I wanted more, and I wanted to eat up some more of this slop that's so tasty and creamy. While my friend, when he beat the game for the first time, he felt completely satisfied with how simple it was to get the first ending. And then for me, when I finally got the more advanced ending that took a lot longer to get to, like a lot longer, I felt very satisfied with what I actually got out of the game. Now, the game itself. You basically play as this little farm fresh egg, this little brown rooster egg. And throughout the game, you're exploring this little world, which is the Animal Well. There's an actual well that is at the very top, and you're at the bottom. And your whole goal is to figure out what to do. And so you wander this place where there's, some of the most serene moments that you can have in gaming. Like, I mean, come on. This is just straight up. This is like serene. This is like so. It's like so pretty over. Oh, screw you, you bird. You popped my bubble. But then on the other hand, there's moments that are kind of more scary than basically every Five Nights at Freddy's game, every game that is a horror game. It's scarier than even it's like scarier than the Saw movies. This is gonna be one of the top 10 anime moments. What the? Hello there. Who are you? Now, this game, when you're playing through it and you finally figure out most of like the mainstream quote-unquote puzzles, you start to realize that there is just more and more and more that the game can continue to throw at you that you could not have even thought of like 30 seconds prior. And then you'll be like, whoa, there's a hidden chest in the wall when I hit my remote button. And there you see the outline of it in pure gorgeous red. I'm gonna use my sonar abilities to find the next chest. Find it. Where are you, chest? There you are. How do I get in there? And you're like, how do I get that? And it ends up you can't find the answer in the game. You have to use like some crazy like neuralizer technique in order to figure out the puzzle. I kid you not. I'm not going to spoil a puzzle because I don't want to spoil too much of the game, but it's there. Now, I'm actually going to completely ignore what I just said about spoiling in the game. So this is the spoiler section. Put the big spoiler thing up. Hear me out on this, because this is the spoiler zone. This is spoiling the second ending to the game, the more true ending, if you will. So if you want to you keep watching, skip to this part, because then I'll stop talking about it. But basically, in the secret ending of the game, after all of what you go through, there's a secret room called the incubator room. And there's a big theme of eggs in this game. All the secrets in the game, or most of them, are called Easter eggs. Like, oh, that's normal in gaming. No, like the thing you get is an egg. And you have to collect 64 of the eggs. And when you do, you get the 65th egg. And you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this piece of egg? And you go to the incubator. And it's like you don't know the incubator's there unless you have already searched to find this other secret room. What? Who thought of that? Who used their neurons on this? But then, when you put that in there, it triggers another final boss that is completely different to the first boss that you fight for the main ending. But then, when you beat the boss, you get to go to the ancestral plane. And there's like guys up in there, and you're flying around and everything. It's kind of wacky if you think about it. How was I supposed to know that you weren't actually an evil villain, but you were actually just a cool cat that just wanted to let me ride around and like right next to you and stuff? Like, I didn't even know that when I was playing the game, but now that I know that, I like feel bad for like fighting you earlier. Yeah, so you're nothing but a silly little guy. The same goes for you, Sylvester. I be feeling the same way about you. Like, I don't even know why we fought. Like, we chill like that for real. Now we're back to no spoiler zone. Welcome back, you little sillies. Hey. So now I want to talk a little bit about how the game actually feels when you're playing it. So it actually has pretty tight controls. You feel like you're in control of your little egg guy for most of the time, except for when you fall into a pit 15 billion times. But it's not the game's fault, it's you, because you suck at controlling the guy. No. No! Ugh. Okay, I just gotta make this next jump here, and then it's all gonna be fine. No! Seabird, this is why you and me are the bestest of friends. You always got— No! Bird, please help me in order to be able to dodge these rats. No! You have got to be kidding me. How is somebody like me supposed to make it out of this alive? Have to use my 13 neurons here. It's really not that hard. I just gotta go this way. See? I don't always just die out of nowhere. I actually need to die for the video. I said I'd die 13 billion times, so I have to do it anyways. It's not even an option that I have. You silly chinchilla. You think that you can just do whatever you want, don't you? You just think, yeah, you're the top of the animal kingdom, don't you? No! And as you get better at the game, one of the heavy things that this game implies is that every single item you get, which there are a lot, they have hidden uses that you will not know when you first get the item. For example, frisbee. You go, woo, throw the frisbee. Oh my gosh, the dogs like the frisbee. That makes sense. I can jump on the frisbee? What is this? Rocket riding in Fortnite in 2018? Okay, frisbee. It's your time to shine. It's your time to shine. Go. No, I messed up. Go. No. Go. No, that's not what I wanted. Frisbee, your time to shine. Go. Oh, and I go like boom. Yes! No ability unlocked. Frisbee fly. Gadzooks! This is a brilliant discovery. And there's things like that all over the game. Just continuously new things that you'll figure out with these items. And it'll hit you like a big semi-truck out of nowhere. And you're like, wow, I've made a because your brain is overloaded with information of your new discovery. And once you start to get a real grasp for all of these new and different controls in the game, you start to really feel this sense of accomplishment, because with these new things that you learn, you're able to traverse the world better and better and better and more quickly. And one thing in the game is there's these, like in most games, there's like fast travel points. I don't want to go too much into detail about the fast travel points, but there are hidden ones that you won't know unless you look at the hieroglyphs on the wall in like this section of like the sewer in your grandma's basement. Like, what? How did I miss this? Ends up you have to use like this like tool, like light UV thing or whatever, just to be able to know it. It's insane. It's insane. But then, even when you feel like you've done everything in the game, you go to a whole new zone. And this is kind of spoilery too. Not really though, not too much. But at the top of the map, there's this big old clock. And there's doors that have times on it. And it ends up that this game is also intended for multiple playthroughs for speedrunning. And not like in other games where it's just like a little achievement on Steam. Ends up, there's more content if you speedrun them. And I'm not fast enough at the game to be able to speedrun the game in 15 minutes. How do you expect me to do that? This is the speedrunning clock. This is the speedrunning clock. The game continues to incentivize you over and over to test your limits as a player in these new like zones all over the place, and you'll find these new little things, and like there's infinite ways to start the game and continue your playthrough for different playthroughs. There's replayability here that for most games of a similar kind of idea, you do not see. Like for me, when I'm telling you that Zelda 2 was inspired by Animalware, there's a reason why. It's because the puzzles are very reminiscent to puzzles in old school games. Like I'm talking, a lot of them cause you to actually use your noggin. Use the thing that's in your head. The little, meat orb, use that thing. And there's puzzles that you'll be like, I didn't know that I could even do that in games, because they don't make puzzles like they do in Animalware commonly in games anymore. Now, for a platformer, Metroidvania puzzle-y game, I will say one thing that kind of stood out to me is the lack of quote-unquote combat. There's not a way that you're necessarily supposed to be fighting the critters in the animal well. You're more supposed to find out what the animals do as opposed to just shoot them with my Glock 19 and boom, I get a piece of ham. No, you're more supposed to find out like, okay, what does an ostrich do? It sticks its head in the ground? Well then I gotta go in the ground and worm my way throughout the puzzle. Throughout this little maze that's just there on the floor. It's insanely well done. All of the level designs kind of also incorporate how you're supposed to interact with the actual animals as well, because as the game kind of makes clear, it's animal well. This isn't Koopa well. This isn't Goomba well. Animal well. This is also the first game in recent history to reference the old school character Peter Roach. Not a lot of people know him anymore, but he used to be a very big thing in back in the 1970s, and he's making a comeback in Animalware. So keep your eyes out for Peter Roach. That's what he looks like. He's in the game. Overall, though, all these thoughts kind of mishmash together. It's a little bit of a thought soup, if you will, a little bit of the brain stew. But I'm gonna say this much. Please play the game. It's not super expensive on Steam. It's something around like $22. It's very affordable. It's the first game published by Big Mode Studios, which is Donkey. Haha, Donkey, silly guy. It's his first studio's published game. So please check it out. Fantastic. I love the game. This game is gonna get a 3 billion frogs out of 2 toadstools. And anyways, thank you guys for watching. Go play the game. I'll see you later.
Bye-bye.